Imagine being behind the wheel of a machine that has become a legend. Feel the roar of the engine, that chill down your spine, and the feeling of being part of history. Have you ever thought about which car could provide you with this? What if I told you that some of these cars are so iconic that they changed the automotive world forever? Let's embark together on an unforgettable journey through the universe of the most legendary cars. Get ready to discover models that are not just vehicles, but true works of art on wheels. And while we discover each one of them, reflect, what would be your dream car? It seems impossible to choose just one, right? But don't worry, because by the end of this video, you will have your answers. So, stay with me and uncover the secrets of the 20 most incredible cars that ever existed. What will be first on the list? Let's go! I remember the first time I fell in love with legendary cars. I was about 10 years old and I was watching a documentary about the history of Ferrari. From that moment on, I began to be interested in the history and evolution of these iconic vehicles. Legendary cars don't become icons overnight, they go through a long process of development and adaptation that reflects the technological and cultural changes of their respective times. For example, in the 1960s, American muscle cars emerged as a response to the demand for powerful, affordable vehicles, while in Europe, sports cars like the Porsche 911 began to gain fame for their precision engineering and racing performance. The evolution of these cars is intrinsically linked to advances in automotive technology, as well as changes in consumer preferences and government regulations. Another thing that always fascinated me was the design and innovation that these cars bring. It's not just about looks, it's about how design impacts functionality and the driving experience. I remember visiting a classic car exhibition and gawking at the Jaguar E-Type, a car that, in my opinion, is the epitome of elegance and performance. Legendary cars often have a design that immediately sets them apart from every other vehicle on the road. The Lamborghini Miura, for example, introduced the mid-engine sports car concept, which completely changed the game in terms of performance and handling. Additionally, these cars often introduce technological innovations that become industry standards, such as the Audi Quattro's all-wheel drive system or the Mazda RX-7's rotary engine. Speaking of performance and technical specifications, it is impossible not to mention the impressive numbers that these cars manage to achieve. I've always been a fast car enthusiast, so I spend hours reading up on the technical specifications of my favorites. For example, the Bugatti Veyron, which was the first production car to surpass the 400 km/h mark, is a true engineering masterpiece with its quad-turbo W16 engine. The Ferrari F40, launched in 1987, is still considered a performance milestone with its acceleration from 0 to 100 km/h in just 4.1 seconds. These cars aren't just fast, they are meticulously engineered to offer an unparalleled driving experience, with adjustable suspensions, advanced braking systems and optimized aerodynamics. Technical specifications are not just numbers, they tell the story of years of research, development, and innovation. Over the years, I've realized how these cars aren't just machines, they are cultural icons that transcend their original function. The DeLorean DMC-12, for example, became forever associated with the movie Back to the Future, and who doesn't remember the Ford Mustang from Bullitt with Steve McQueen at the wheel? These cars have had a lasting impact on popular culture, appearing in films, TV series, music videos, and even video games. Pop culture not only celebrates these cars, but also contributes to their mystique and desirability. It's fascinating to see how a car can become a symbol of an era or a lifestyle. The Aston Martin DB5, for example, wouldn't be the same without its association with James Bond, and this cultural connection significantly increases its appeal and value. Participation in racing and motorsport is another aspect that cannot be ignored when we talk about legendary cars. I grew up watching Formula One with my father, and I was always impressed by the cars that competed. Many of the most legendary cars have had their reputations cemented on racetracks. The Porsche 917, for example, is famous for its victories in the 24 Hours of Le Mans, while the Ford GT40 dominated the same race in the 60s, beating Ferrari. Participating in high-level competitions not only tests the performance of these cars to the limit, but also contributes to their development and innovation. Technologies tested and perfected on the track often end up being incorporated into production vehicles, benefiting all drivers. The rarity and market value of these cars are aspects that have always intrigued me. When I was younger, I used to collect model cars and dream of one day owning a real one. The rarity of these vehicles is one of the main factors that influence their value. Cars like the Ferrari 250 GTO or the McLaren F1 are extremely rare, with very few units produced. This scarcity, combined with high demand among collectors, causes prices to reach astronomical figures. Recently, a Ferrari 250 GTO sold for more than $70 million, making it the most expensive car ever sold at auction. These cars are, in many cases, seen as investments, with their market value increasing over time, especially when they are in original condition or have been authentically restored. Speaking of famous stories and anecdotes, it's amazing how each legendary car has its own unique narratives. I remember reading about the Lamborghini Miura that caught fire on the highway in Switzerland, and how that story became part of the car's legend. These cars often have famous owners who add more flair to their stories. Steve McQueen, for example, was not only a famous actor but also an avid car enthusiast, and any vehicle he owned or drove in a movie automatically gained legendary status. Another interesting example is the case of the Ford GT40, which not only defeated Ferrari at Le Mans, but also has a fascinating story of corporate rivalry and revenge between Henry Ford II and Enzo Ferrari. These stories and anecdotes not only humanize these cars, but also make them even more fascinating. When it comes to advanced technology and engineering, these cars are always at the forefront. It was a treat to learn about the technological advancements that each of these vehicles brought to the automotive industry. The Audi Quattro, for example, revolutionized the world of rallies with its four-wheel drive, becoming a reference for future projects. The Tesla Roadster, on the other hand, showed the world that electric cars can be not only environmentally friendly, but also incredibly fast and exciting to drive. These cars often introduce technologies that later become industry standards, such as the use of lightweight materials and composites in vehicle construction to improve performance and efficiency. The advanced engineering behind these cars isn't just about making something new, it's about doing something better, more efficient and more exciting. Finally, the restoration and preservation of these cars is a topic that I have always found fascinating. I was lucky enough to visit a few workshops specializing in classic car restoration and see the care and attention to detail that goes into these vehicles. Restoring a legendary car isn't just a matter of fixing what's broken, it is an art that requires a deep knowledge of the history and mechanics of the vehicle. Many collectors spend small fortunes to ensure that every screw and part is authentic and conforms to original specifications. Preservation of these cars isn't just about keeping them in good condition, it's about keeping the heritage and history they represent alive. It's a labor of love that ensures future generations can admire and learn from these automotive icons. So if you, like me, are passionate about legendary cars, you know that each of these topics represents a crucial aspect of what makes these vehicles so special. Whether it's history, design, performance, cultural impact, racing participation, rarity, famous anecdotes, advanced technology, restoration or legacy, each element contributes to the aura of legend that surrounds these cars. They are not just machines, they are works of art, cultural symbols, and testimonies of innovation and passion. And that's what makes them truly unforgettable. Of course, continuing where I left off, one of the things that fascinates me is how legendary cars have a legacy that transcends generations. The influence these vehicles have on the design and production of modern cars is undeniable. For example, the aerodynamic design and cutting-edge technology of the McLaren F1 still serve as a reference for automotive engineers and designers. Even decades after their release, these cars continue to be a point of comparison and inspiration for new models. It's amazing to think how something that was created 30, 40, even 50 years ago can still be so relevant and influential today. And speaking of legacy, it's impossible not to mention how these cars influence future generations of enthusiasts and professionals in the automotive industry. I myself am an example of this. I grew up admiring these vehicles and, although I didn't pursue a career directly linked to the world of cars, I always kept this passion alive. And I know I'm not the only one. I know many people who have decided to pursue careers in automotive engineering, industrial design, or even racing drivers, inspired by the fascination these legendary cars sparked in them. This influence is a testament to the lasting impact these cars have, not only on the automotive market, but also on people's lives. Another point worth highlighting is the community formed around these cars. There are owners' clubs, online forums, meetups, and events dedicated exclusively to legendary cars. Taking part in a classic car meeting, for example, is a unique experience. I had the opportunity to go to one of these events and it was incredible to see so many enthusiasts gathered, each with their own story and personal connection to these cars. It's an environment where you can learn a lot, share experiences and, of course, admire these iconic vehicles up close. The camaraderie and sense of community is palpable, and this only reinforces the idea that these cars are much more than just machines, they are the heart of a rich and vibrant culture. Furthermore, preserving and restoring these cars is not just an activity for the rich and famous. There are many enthusiasts who dedicate years of their lives to restoring a classic car, often working in their garages on weekends and holidays. The dedication and love these people have for what they do is truly inspiring. And it's not just a question of money, it's about passion, knowledge and, often, a deep emotional connection. Restoring a legendary car is like bringing a piece of history back to life, and that's something that resonates with many people, regardless of their financial situation. Another interesting aspect is the environmental impact that restoring and preserving classic cars can have. With growing concern about environmental issues, many enthusiasts and industry professionals are looking for ways to make these cars more environmentally friendly. This includes converting old engines to electric motors, using sustainable materials in restoration and looking for alternative fuels. While some purists may turn their noses up at these changes, it's undeniable that they represent an effort to keep these cars relevant and usable in a world that is increasingly concerned about sustainability. And we can't forget the educational role these cars play. There are museums and institutions dedicated to preserving and displaying legendary cars, and they are an excellent source of knowledge for people of all ages. Visiting an automotive museum is an educational experience that can teach you a lot about history, engineering, design, and culture. It's a way to ensure that knowledge and appreciation for these vehicles is passed on to the next generations. I myself learned a lot by visiting museums like the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles and the Museo Ferrari in Maranello. These visits gave me a deeper understanding and even greater appreciation for these incredible cars. The importance of these cars' legacy and influence on the future cannot be underestimated. They have not only shaped the history of the automotive industry, but also continue to influence the present and future. Whether inspiring new designs, technologies, or even new generations of enthusiasts and professionals, legendary cars have a lasting impact that goes far beyond their technical specifications or their market value. They are, in many ways, the soul of the automotive industry, representing the best of what engineering, design, and passion can achieve. Now, going back a little to technology and advanced engineering, these cars often serve as showcases for the most modern and innovative in the automotive world. Technologies such as traction control, ABS braking systems and active aerodynamics, which are now common in many production vehicles, were pioneered in legendary cars. The McLaren P1, for example, introduced a hybrid system that not only improved performance but also fuel efficiency, something that was practically unthinkable in a high-performance sports car a few decades ago. These technological advances not only make cars faster and more efficient, but also safer and more enjoyable to drive. And speaking of safety, it's important to mention how many of these legendary cars also pioneered safety technologies that we consider standard today. The Mercedes-Benz 300 SL, for example, was one of the first cars to be equipped with gull-wing doors, which not only gave it an iconic look, but also offered a more rigid and safer structure in the event of a rollover. Likewise, the Volvo P1800 is often remembered for its durability and advances in passive safety, such as crumple zones and three-point seatbelts. Not only did these cars influence design and performance, they also helped make driving safer for everyone. Another fascinating aspect is how these cars serve as testbeds for new technologies that will eventually be used in mass-production vehicles. Formula One, for example, is known for being a testing ground for technologies that eventually reach streetcars. Systems such as KERS, Kinetic Energy Recovery System, and DRS, Drag Reduction System, were first tested in Formula One cars before being implemented in production vehicles. These legendary cars, many of which have their roots in motorsport competitions, play a crucial role in the evolution of automotive technology. And we can't forget the importance of international collaboration in creating these cars. Often, legendary cars are the result of joint efforts between engineers, designers, and manufacturers from different countries. The Ford GT40, for example, was a collaborative effort between American and British engineers, resulting in a car that combined the best of both worlds. Likewise, the DeLorean DMC-12 was designed by Giorgetto Giugiaro, one of Italy's most renowned designers, and built in Northern Ireland. These international collaborations have not only enriched the design and engineering of these cars, but have also helped create vehicles that are truly global in their influence and appeal. Another point worth mentioning is the continuous evolution of these cars. Even after decades of their release, many legendary cars continue to be updated and improved by their owners and enthusiasts. The installation of modern navigation, sound systems, and even more efficient engines are common in restoration projects. And while some purists may argue that this takes away from the car's authenticity, it is a way to ensure that these vehicles can continue to be driven and enjoyed in a world that is constantly changing. The continued evolution of these cars is a testament to their durability and relevance, even many years after their original production ended. So, guys, what did you think of this incredible list? You could feel your heart beat faster just imagining these classics in the garage, right? And who would have thought that we would discover so much about the history behind each of these legendary cars? It's almost like traveling back in time and reliving iconic moments in the automobile industry. But now, tell me here in the comments, which of these cars would you like to drive at least once in your life? Plus, if you could add one more car to this list, what would it be? Is there a model that you think deserves to be among the most legendary of all time? Leave your opinion below, because I love seeing your passion for these incredible machines. Oh, and if you liked today's video, get ready because there's a lot more to come. Have you ever imagined knowing the secret stories behind the fastest supercars in the world? Or discover what were the most revolutionary technological innovations in the history of motorsport? So, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any new content. And of course, leave a like, which helps us a lot to continue bringing you fascinating facts. See you in the next video, guys. Until then.